Loves Toad the Wet Sprocket.
They're awesome. So you guys are nattering about developers who don't document their code?
No, I was just saying that those annotations are really valuable.
Mhm. If I put in something custom, I'll
It's
actually,
not,
you
it's
know,
not even developers, Marge. Like I was saying just before you got here, even SEOs that don't document their process.
Yep.
I mean, I don't care if it's in Google Analytics, if it's in a spreadsheet, or what it is. Just documentation of processes in general, I find, between developers and marketers and whoever, is generally lacking, and it's a problem. You know, like
yeah.
even if it's a social program, fine. Where's the documentation of what worked, what didn't? You know, go into someone. You know, I've worked with clients recently that has a social development team or people, and they're sort. You know, and you ask them for this kind of information, like, okay, what have you tried in the past, and where's the data on how well it did? And what do you mean? And it's like they just come up with an idea in their head, implement it, throw it out in the wild, and move on. It's like,
I had to deal with a fiasco last night. This affiliate marketer guy I've been working with for a couple of years hired a expert SEO. And oh, by the way, he's an expert because he lives in Thailand now and he's only 28. Never mind. Um, but I asked when he said he hired this guy, I said, great, why do they need cPanel? Are they planning to make changes to the theme? If so, I need to talk to them. No, they're just going to do content. Well, they went in and started modifying the Genesis framework and took the whole friggin' site down. And guess who's on call? You know, so I changed the cPanel password and I said, don't do anything, until you understand what you're doing because you're obviously not aware of how to work with a child theme. And, so I guess I get to do that now. And I will bill for it, of course. But, people like that just annoy me. What can I say? Plausible deniability. Okay, I killed the conversation. Bye.
no, we were just deep in thought, absorbing all of your wisdom.
Right. Uh-huh.
Come on.
Ah, okay. Well, it just annoys me. If you understand anything about WordPress and child themes, you do not modify the parent theme. And what this guy's coder did was he made the functions PHP and the child theme blank. Gee, that's going to work. Hello. Never mind. Maybe I just went too deep into Genesis. But that applies to WordPress across the board.
To be honest, it applies to any CMS. Again, we were kind of just talking about that. You start changing core themes or core functions. The next time you go to update that theme or update WordPress, it all breaks. You know what I mean? Again,
Yep, and I see.
you're really better off telling a coder to write you a plugin separate from the theme and separate from the core install. It's going to cost you more, but in the long run, you're not having to update and hack the fucking code every time you update the theme or you update the WordPress or the Joomla or what the fuck ever. You know what I mean? Hacking core files is always a stupid thing to do.
Never the thing to do. And, I actually do have a fairly large plugin that I throw into every site I write. And it's a must-use plugin, and all of that code is contained in separate scripts. And the one that, calls all of those chunks of code says exactly what that does. This is for this, this is for this, this is for this. And you can remark it out or not, but that plugin hasn't failed. And you also WordPress allows for you to make changes to core through the functions file of the child theme, and that's the way to do it. And rather than write a plugin for everything, if it's a couple of lines of code, I mean, just throw it in the functions file. You can do it. You can override. But these guys, I mean, they go in. I went in and I noticed that the parent theme folder had modification dates of yesterday. And I went in and there have been several files added. They modified the Genesis functions file. It says right at the top of every single one of those things, do not modify. Do this in the child theme. Does the guy read English? Don't know. The SEO, when I finally talked with him, said, well, I had to hire my bad developer. Really? What's your good one look like, So at any rate, I changed cPanel. I locked him out because I'm the one who gets the storm when things go wrong. My site's down. You know, if servant goes down, I get notified. You know, my site's down. Gee, well, hosts, you know, hiccup once in a while. That's life. You know, but
Well, that's what
anyhow.
people say.
Well, they do. You know, servants only had one severe outage in the entire
That's
time.
life. That's what all the people say.
Well, I mean,
You're riding high in April, shot down in May.
they had a DDoS attack, and they were down for more than 12 hours. You know, that's the only time I've ever seen servant go down for a significant length of time. You know, but stuff goes wrong on the server side. What is that?
That's my dog playing.
I see. And what's he talking about?
I don't know. We're trying to teach him to say "I love you" so we can be famous on YouTube.
Back in my hippie youth, somebody had a dog that they had trained to say hamburger before they let it outside. Never mind. So, Bill, since you said that's what they say,
Someone's got too much time on their hands.
what hosting? What hosting company do you know of, Bill, that's never gone down?
I love you so we can be famous on YouTube.
Okay, somebody's playing back through their speakers.
Yeah, it's Laura.
Laura.
Somebody had a dog that they had trained to say hamburger before they let it outside.
Mute.
It's like a doppelganger hangout.
There you go.
There you go.
Kind of like singing "Row Your Boat."
But Bill, I had a question. Do you know of a hosting company that has never had a server hiccup?
Well, I don't, but I rarely deal with that part of the. They all say never or 99% uptime, and you know we're usually dealing with either somebody's GoDaddy situation, HostGator, or we try to stick clients on WP Engine if they're WordPress sites. So.
Or WP Engine. God, what a nightmare.
Yeah, I agree.
It's been awesome for us. We have no issues.
Man,
what do you like about it?
No issues. That's the part we like about it. So you may very well be trying to do things that they just won't let developers do. So I don't.
Which is almost everything a developer would want to do.
Unless you don't have to do it.
And a lot of things that
unless you're one of those developers.
A lot of things that an SEO needs to do, they don't want to let you do too.
Huh. Yeah, all I can say is so far we've been happy. And that kind of push-button rollback has saved some asses.
Deb was saying yesterday how much she loved GoDaddy hosting, so I suppose it's a step up from 1+1, but
I don't know. I think it just depends on the experience. Like I've been with HostGator, with a lot of people bitch about it. I've been with them for ages, dude. They have an automated system that calls you when your site goes down. Like I didn't even know one morning. I get up, get this call, and this is HostGator. Your site .com is server. It was like, what? Or I think it was overloaded or something had gone wrong, and they had fucking cut it to block bandwidth or whatever. But they, you got this automated call, and boom, I was on it, had it fixed in 20 minutes. I wouldn't even known because I think it was like SEO bullshit or some site I wasn't really paying attention to. I would have known unless someone else noticed. But I got this phone call from fucking HostGator. I was like, oh, awesome. I think some script got caught in an infinite loop or something, so that their system automatically shut the site off.
I've never been a fan of sites that offer quote unquote WordPress hosting because the security they list as the features, all of that can be handled if the developer knows what they're doing to begin with. Now WP Engine has declined usage of some plugins. Interestingly enough, some security plugins, because of performance reasons. But maybe WP Engine does something nifty like here. We always keep things up to date. This, that, the next thing. I've not heard anything bad about it. I just think that the service is overpriced. For things that you can get. If a developer knows what they're doing.
I
with
had
this.
one client that was on WP Engine, and it was an absolute nightmare. And they wanted control of everything, and they didn't want to let the site owner have control of anything. And trying to implement things, and like you said, plugins. They wanted to bless basically everything we were going to do in the back end before we were allowed to do it. I said, I'm paying you for this, right? I don't friggin' think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think Network Solutions was the first company to offer WordPress hosting. And, my client, over my objections, bought it. And it was really stupid. I could not do anything. It was like being on WordPress.com, And I remember talking with Network Solutions, and I said, why do I need this? And she said, well, you don't. I said, okay. And he was paying 35 a month for that. 35 a month. So I mean, I think it's a way to, nicheify yourself and make yourself seem special, but I'm not sure that it adds all that much value. The rollback you can have with Backup Buddy, you can have that instantly. Just make sure you do your backups, before you make changes, and if you don't like it, you know, restore the installation to its previous state.
One month, yeah.
Or, before you make changes to anything, copy that file on, file server, on the file manager to a backup version, then upload your new code, and if it doesn't work, you can back it out right away. Nothing's lost. So, I don't know, it just depends on who's at the helm on the developer side, I guess. I don't mean to sound, snarky, but that's
I've
my...
just become the WordPress hour anyways. Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, we're trying to stay away from Joomla as much as possible, bud.
Well, no, I just meant the developer hour. How's that? I think Bill started it, so we'll just blame him.
Well, we said free for all, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got in and you guys were yapping about the most important line of code.
Right, Bill's fault. Here we go.
Bill's got broad shoulders. We can lay it on his ass.
Blame Bill.
Doc's not even going on camera today. You still in your house coat?
I am in my robe.
Nice.
I'm in my jammies.
I got dressed for work. I don't.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm like feeling overdressed now, man.
I wore the nice flannel.
You had the classy flannel today. Shouldn't it be black and white though, maybe?
Black and red, power colors.
So, Dave, did you spend any more time looking at the? Oh, now I can't even remember what it was called. What's the thing that we determined this morning that was like Splunk?
No, I didn't know. It was a friend of mine,
Modify.
Brian. Yeah, I don't know. A friend of mine, Brian Wallace, sent it to me, and he goes, "What do you think of this?" I don't know if he's involved in it or what. So I said, "I don't know. I can't tell what it does." It's a horrible fucking site. Literally. And then you watch that video, and it's got one of those computer, where you feed the text in, and the voice over does this with OK Pie. And like the voice, I was watching the video, going, "Oh my god," So again, I have no faith in someone who could put a video out like that, because if you don't listen to that, think that's shit, then God knows what you think of your product. Works fast.
Suspicious of the product.
So I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really dig into it. Someone just asked me, and I had nothing positive to say. And strangely enough, I didn't get a reply on Skype after that. So I'm thinking maybe they are involved.
The Splunk thing looks good. It's cost prohibitive for us.
Yeah.
It's a depth. It's a depth that most of our clients don't quite need. I'm sure it would be useful in some situations, especially if you were running a big site.
Yeah, for sure. Enterprise level stuff where the money's there, great. Anything that's analyzing server log files over, the way GA does it and stuff. The server log files is the way to go. Well, anybody back in the day, that's what we used to look at.
The only way, yeah.
Yeah, this is how we do it.
Well, there's a lot of tools out there like that that they just don't have any ROI for some sites. Like Kissmetrics, for instance, rocks for some applications, but it's just overkill and a half for a lot. I can't justify it, although I love it, But I don't have any clients right now that can really put it to good use.
Yeah, boy, you can easily get up into $4 or $5 grand a month with 2 or 3 tools.
Yeah. Easy. Uh-oh, Marge killed the convo again.
Dave's muted. See you, Dave.
I
Yeah,
didn't kill it.
anyways, in an ongoing segment of John Mueller, we'll call this the John Mueller backpedals segment.
Oh, good Lord.
All right. So, yeah, this all started a while back when somebody asked the theoretical question of, can you, and we've talked about this before, but can you, just for anyone who's not familiar with the drama, can you get Penguin recovery by adding more links? And I think, poor old John, to his credit, doesn't, he's got a bit of Schmitz-itis by not thinking of the ramification of what he says too often.
Yep.
So anyways, he says, well, theoretically, I guess you could. And what he means by that is, sure, if you've got 50 crappy links in a profile of 2,000 links and you get 75 good links, that will move the needle, sure, is I think what he meant to say. But everyone in the SEO world was running around going, hey, you don't need to disavow, you don't need to do that, just get more links. Yeah, big SEOs the way they are. So then he backpedaled and said, no, that's not what I meant. You should still go out and clean up and do this and that. And then now in part 3,
yeah, I'm reminded of someone who used to say, I don't have time to tell you all the things I don't mean by what I'm about to say.
Yeah, that's about it, huh? And it's just funny how everyone runs with this shit. So now in part 3, he's saying, well, creating more shitty links is not going to solve the problem.
Well, and what's sad is it was probably necessary that he say that simply because there's so many other idiots out there that will say, oh, you can just go out and hit Fiverr.
Mueller said that you could, so.
Pretty soon it'll be, Mueller said use X-Rumor, yeah.
So yeah, and so this was part 3, and I was just laughing my ass off because I think that's what it devolved to, is that they thought they just more unnatural links, meaning not ones you actually earned, ones you created, manufactured, will solve the problem. And I guess to a degree it does, Doc, because of the whole fucking nature of how often Penguin runs. Like, again, I've said this a few times, but Penguin is actually something that if I was a spammer, like meaning MFA sites and black hat sites, whatever, that kind of shit, I could care less because I could spam my ass off for 11 months, then come October, disavow the whole fucking file and start over after Penguin runs again. If Penguin was like Panda and it ran every month and you didn't know when it was going to run, you would be fucked. But given that it's running once a year at this point, what the hell, man? I've seen it done with client sites. And a friend of ours that would be an Irish guy living in Spain, for your hint. I watched those guys hire a so-called big name to help them with link building, and he went out and did a bunch of shitty blog posts and everything else, and sure enough, it moved the fucking needle. But then when Penguin hit it, they lost it all and a bit more. But again, yeah, that's the one thing that I don't think Google wants anyone to know or talks about too much is the fact that you can actually fucking move the needle. If you don't care about that site, meaning it's not a corporate client or something, if you're just fucking, spamming away, yeah, you could care less. Build some more links. You've got a year. So, as long as you don't trip the unnatural links penalty, if you sit somewhere in the fucking middle, you're fine. Go nuts. Spam away. So really, Doc, is it really against spammers? No. It's legit sites that have to worry about Penguin. No. It's a joke. Yes, that's part 3 of the humor.
Ralph Tagmeyer put up a very good post yesterday talking about, I think I dropped it in the dojo chat, in fact, talking about, is Black Hat dead? And a pretty good explanation of the sort of things that can easily be done and get past the sheriff, and how it evolves along with the search engines. I mean, anytime you have somebody design a security program, there's some other hacker that'll come along and design a backdoor to it.
Well, it's just like the offline world, right? Any security measure you got, some criminal's going to figure out how to beat it. So. And of course, fucking screen share has killed my fucking camera. I love people. No hangouts.
I would do a Facebook cause for your camera.
Well, no, I just actually bought a new one yesterday, so it's not me. It's fucking, it's hangouts. Because no, I actually have a new camera. I bought it yesterday, so it's not the camera. It's fucking Google. Do, 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 do. Oh, okay. Since we're talking about things that Google shouldn't say, there's another one. And as an audit guy, Doc, you might enjoy this. Dude. So yes, Google ignores everything on your. So basically, you know, people who do a 404 page and they'll say you might enjoy this content, or we might, you know, you might want to go here or there, and you have internal links on those 404 pages to relevant pages. Nope. Apparently, Terry, nothing counts. As soon as they see the 404 status code, the bot runs away. They don't actually crawl the page. So. Still a good usability thing to do. But, you know.
I'm not sure I buy into that, because I have seen one instance where there were links on a page that had been 410 that actually wasn't gone yet, and they did discover from that page, so they crawled it.
So maybe it's just,
that's 6, 8 months.
maybe it just doesn't pass value. Maybe no equity passes.
There definitely follow links on it. Like, you know, what happens if all the pages on the site are broke, but the links on the 401 works, they're going to follow, right?
Right. So there, I think what he's probably saying, but not saying once again, is that there's no equity passing through that page.
Yeah, that I'll buy into, but as far as discoverability, I'm sorry, unless they've changed things radically in the last 6, 8 months, I don't buy that.
Well, they'd be dangling nodes anyhow, wouldn't they? Because they're fucking 404s.
And this piece of news is from Twitter, so yeah, I think, you know, when John Mueller's limited to 140 characters, I would take it even less at face value. Wow. The stuff we consider to be news.
See, you did notice that he said, make them work for your users. So probably the engine does follow links off it. In other words, you put up a stop sign for the spider has to leave the website, right? Because it's got nowhere to go. Because it follows links, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you can't, you know, that's, again, people who not really, like, again, that's one of those answers where John gave the right answer, but it's not completely right.
Do you think Barry should maybe like add a little more context to those things with his own knowledge, as opposed to just spitting that information out? Maybe Barry should be like adding some insight from his own.
Well, Barry would have to know that, wouldn't he?
Well, he probably does. He just doesn't know enough fucking time. He doesn't have enough time in the day. Look at all this shit Barry's doing.
Well,
you know what I mean? He's probably just pumping it out.
Let's say I don't agree.
Yeah, again, I think he knows. You know, he's a knowledgeable guy. I think
mostly hype.
Well, hey man, if you're making your money in the news business, sometimes you have to.
Sometimes that's.
Well, that's why I got out of the news business.
But does that, okay, but should you be getting your information there? That's my point, right? Should you be going there to get information?
I think if you have a critical mind, it's a good source of discovery of conversations.
In some ways, it could be misinformation.
It's
like if you didn't have a critical mind to be able to think through it, but I think that would go for any fucking of the sites that is.
Yeah, you shouldn't be reading. You shouldn't be online if you can't do some critical thinking of your own, because
yeah, well,
it's like RSS feed.
That's not what I see in the industry. I see people that are basically cookie cutters. They don't really think about what they're doing. They follow things like this.
Right. Well, and that's what I mean. I don't think Barry's unique in that sense. You know, search engine journal, fucking Moz, fucking everywhere. You know, and
that's not Barry's fault. That's the reader's fault.
I don't think there's a site out there.
No, I disagree there, Doc. Because there's lots of things that I don't do for that reason, and Dave and I don't do them for the same reason. That we don't want to half inform people because you're actually hurting them then.
if you read Barry's stuff, critically, usually it's there. He'll say, "This is what so and so said. This is what may be happening," and you know, yeah, he plants the seed for those that are not critical thinkers that they're going to run with it in the wrong direction. I'll grant you, but as anybody that really has some reading comprehension skills can determine that he's not saying this is a fact. He's reporting. He's curating. He's simply putting something out there to think about.
You know.
Yeah, the stuff on search engine journals is far more egregious because they're actually trying to teach people with bad information. It's like, whoa.
Is that the journal word?
Yeah, it should be in a swear jar these days in the dojo.
Like, what does it say when you're comparing it to the fucking search engine journal?
Well, I could compare it to Moz. I could compare it to a lot of stuff on search engine watch.
That's just my thinking. Maybe I hold the bar too high.
Tell me a location I can go to get information that doesn't suck.
When you're trying to teach people and you're passing around information like it's gospel, that you should be responsible for that. Right?
Good luck with that.
Well, Dave, that's, I guess that's our problem because we don't do that.
Well, I don't disagree with that, Terry. I think the way we talked about, like with the Moz, when you know that you've got tens of thousands of people reading your shit, you got to be careful what the hell you say,
Apparently not.
Well, he's got even more reading his stuff, right?
Well, I think you can't. I don't think you should compare Moz and what Barry does.
No, it's not a fair.
Yeah, again, the Barry, searching around table is just a source of discovery for conversations that I might be interested in. That's about it.
That's what
I see something there. It piques my interest. I dig in further. I look into the conversation.
Okay, how often have you read that Google de-indexes? They got a thing for de-indexing directories. And,
right. Well, and again, when he did that at the time, you and I dug into it deeper. Again, you can't. Yeah, I agree with you. You know what I mean?
Well, that's how myths begin. How myths are propagated.
You look at how many times that he pulls information from 10 people talking on Webmaster World about something. You know what I mean? He's got a thing for Webmaster World, and quite often you'll hear, oh, it seems there might be a change in Google. There's 5 people talking about it this morning. So it's like, okay.
Well, is there?
But again, Terry, I'll take that and I'll ask other people. Sorry, what was that, Bill?
I mean, you could just not read his stuff.
Again, I don't mind it. Even in a situation like that, I'm going to go to my channels and say, hey, is anyone seeing movement? Is anyone this and that? It's just a place that I discover a conversation, and then I'll go and find it for myself. But I agree with that Terry's saying. A lot of people are plug and play fucking SEOs that are just going to take whatever they read there verbatim. So.
To me, it's like a 1,000-character tweet. It gives you something that if it looks interesting, you can go look into,
Like, here's the thing, right? There's obviously, with our industry, there's a problem with the way we're perceived. And we're perceived like that because people get half-cocked notions that are totally, in the end, turn out false. They use those techniques on client sites, and then what does the client think? Because they've read it all over the place, and the guy was only doing what everyone else was. Right? That's how we got a bad reputation. So, that's where you start cleaning up.
Yeah, or search Metrics puts out their ranking factors, and your client says, why aren't we doing all these? Why do you care about title tags? According to Search Metrics, the keyword in your title tag is useless.
You know what? It's a hard industry to work in.
It is. But entertaining. Entertaining. I'm pretty sure we've had a news show for the last 5 fucking years because of it.
I like the hours.
There you go.
Never short of topics, that's for fun.
Never been short of shit to bitch about. Nope.
Well, except there at Christmas and, when they took links away, no one had anything to write about. So we had nothing to really debunk. You could have a show every week just based on the useless bullshit that's written during the week. Like, seriously.
Yeah, that's why I always thought that SEO bullshit had a real future. You could almost blog daily.
Yeah, it gets tiring. It's about as exciting as cleaning up after these assholes with your forensic work all the time. You know, you get
except you get
burnt out after a while, man. You get burnt out. You're sick of talking about it. You're sick of cleaning it up.
At least you're getting paid for it.
Food on the table.
Oh yeah, oh, grab me some.
No,
I know. I got you. I was just being a dick. All right. Well, that was fun. What next?
Well, what else is going on?
Well, okay. We do have a fellow on the page, I guess. We should.
Somebody's listening to our free-for-all?
Well, no, Frank Gainsbourg, he's been actively posting questions and pretty much anything we do.
I see. He's a stalker.
No.
I'm kidding.
I'm not sure about this foofism.
Yes, called foofism. I don't even know what that is. Or functional, user-friendly, integrated. So
I bet that was.
Here's what it stands for, guys.
That must be a pretty. Yeah, functional, user-friendly, integrated social media. That's going to be tough to rank for there, Frankie.
Yeah, what is that?
Pretty competitive term, foofism.
That would be easy to rank for because it's your own keyword.
Well, he goes on to say he'd appreciate if we would discuss holistic online marketing. Well, another term that has no common definition, so I don't really know what to do with that, Frank. But I think whenever I think holistic, at least for me, that means basically doing, writing content that your users are interested in, building websites that have good UX, doing SEO by attracting links, not, building, etc. Holistic to me applies the fact of just doing solid marketing to your consumer as opposed to trying to trick people and fuck around. And I don't know about anyone else here. The guys can all speak to it. But even back in the days of the link building shit and everything else, I've never been a fan of trying to fucking game anything. Fuck it. There's no long-term viability in gaming the system. I'm always a fan of just doing solid marketing, knowing your users, finding out what works, and repeating it. Don't fuck around. That's what holistic marketing means to me.
Not for me. It just means I eat granola while I'm doing it.
Awesome. Very nice. Kristen, wow, you finally made it, did you?
Yeah. Hey, I saw free for all, so I thought I would come in.
Nice. Good stuff. Good to see you. How you been?
Good. I need to get my other lower third off. Well, it's kind of like a all-encompassing third. I don't know.
Yeah, mine decides if it wants to work or not. Today, the toolbox isn't working, so I don't know. And again, I have no camera now because I went and screen shared.
Because you screen shared? Now you have no camera?
Was doing that when it did that in the regulators this week. It's been doing it a lot lately. I screen share something and my fucking camera dies and I have to refresh the page. I'm just scared of refreshing because it might stop the broadcast.
Yeah.
But try anyways because Terry's here, so he's a manager, so I think it should be fine. So. Yeah,
and then like if you drop off, then it blue boxes you. Like that happened when I was on Bill and Ammons one time. I was blue boxed for the whole rest of it. I was like, I was like trying to hide.
Amazing they haven't got this figured out yet.
I know.
It's been how many years? Holy Jesus.
Google can do a lot of things, but...
Apparently this isn't a priority.
Right.
Well, of course, Google Plus is dead. Didn't we hear that last year? Wasn't that the thing?
Oh, yeah.
The guy who was heading it up to move to a different department. So, they're killing it! Ah! It's like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh, I still haven't forgiven TechCrunch.
Oh my God, Lord.
I was listening to a financial channel and hearing how Facebook was, doing so awesome with their whole $2 billion of profits. That's a bad week for Google, but apparently.
Yeah, they're going to have to tighten their belt a little bit. I'll never get by on that.
Oh, but they got, 30% increase, in mobile. Oh, gee. So they went from 30 to 80 users. Oh, boy. You can tell it's phony when they use percentages. That means the number is so low, it's laughable.
Well, Terry, your Amazon stock went up.
Yeah, don't invest in, that one.
Don't invest in Amazon?
No, they never made
Not even the Fire Phone?
Why would you pay that much money for a stock that's never made a profit?
No, they just made a profit.
All right, so back to holistic marketing. Doc.
Yo.
Yeah.
Again, he'd like to know if we could discuss holistic online marketing and semantic links, but we'll get back to that later in a minute. And obviously, his initialism is the functional, user-friendly, integrated social media. Whatever that is. But anyway, so how do you define what does holistic marketing mean to you?
I don't even deal with that as a definition. Basically.
Never heard of it. We
No,
used to call results, like search engine results, the organic ones, holistic.
Yeah,
Or,
holistic has become such a buzzword. I just automatically tune it out.
well, to me, it's associated like with the new age baloney. I guess I'm just too old to really get it.
Yeah, I can't really speak to that, Dave, because like I said, holistic, that just doesn't fit into my mindset at all. To me, marketing is, not to use the hackneyed phrase, content is king, but that is the direction everything is going in. You've got to have content that satisfies the user's needs and within the guidelines if you want Google to rank you well, okay? And hope that all the user behavior is going to support that and the links will support that. That's the safe way to go about it. There's other ways to do it. You can don your other hat and play the game. And
I think because he's got the social media thing in his little initialism, that I think he's also talking holistic beyond SEO. But again, I think be honest with your users, your target market, understand your target market. Like we talked about before the show, keep records of what worked, what didn't. You know what I mean? What kind of content is satisfying the client's market? What kind of content isn't satisfying it? And try to do more of that as opposed to trying to trick people into things.
Well, the bottom line is provide value. And, I think I mentioned the other day that, Ian Lurie used a term the other day in a presentation that I really liked. He called it DFP, distance from perfection. Everything that you're doing, whether it be SEO or content or social media, maybe you're doing great and maybe you're number 2 and your main competitor is number 12 in the SERPs. That doesn't matter. You still want to try to improve. Try to get a little bit closer to perfection to hedge your bets. So to me, social
doesn't
media,
that fall back to the even older concept of the continuous improvement process?
Exactly, yeah.
Kaizen.
Pre-internet concept,
Yeah.
But continuous improvement, because somebody is trying to catch you. So you can't just be keeping the lead. You got to keep accelerating and expanding that lead. So social media is the same thing. There's still a lot of gray, a lot of questions around how much social media interaction plays into the rankings, but it certainly plays into community building and building relationships with users and potential users. So it's valuable. It brings value. It's just extremely difficult, if not impossible, to measure, but it's there. You can technically it's correlation rather than causation, but I'm sorry, I buy 100% into the concept that there's some causation there. It's just you can't put your finger on it. You can't quantify it.
There's nothing that can do that anymore. There's nothing that's absolutely provable like in the old days because of the number of signals that are now there. When I started, search engine was so primitive. It was simple.
Remember when InfoSeek was leading edge? That was the cutting edge stuff. What InfoSeek was doing with their search within results.
Good Lord! Remember how many there was?
Oh, Christ.
Hotbots and Hitwise and Lycos, and there was more search engines you could shake a stick at back then, man.
Remember Dogpile? They went through like 28 on their basic package.
So if you can't really test things anymore, all you really have is correlation. Right.
Which is one of the reasons that I was kind of supportive of Rand's
Well,
correlation thing the other day, because really that's all we have. There is nothing that you can
Yeah,
attach.
but the problem is people lean on it to a definitive extent. You know, again,
Absolutely.
you look at search metrics crap, which is all correlation.
well,
I think search metrics factors really highlight the fact that you can't trust correlations all the time because so many of their factors are out to lunch
well,
to
they're
anybody who
not
understands
actually-
this over the years.
They're not actually measuring what people think it's measuring. That's what, that's when I kind of, like when someone says they have Panda and they're using search metrics to get their data that indicates there was a Panda strike, right?
Red flag.
Well, here's the thing. Search metrics does not measure traffic. Search metrics does not measure rankings. They measure visibility. That's it. And how do I know that? Because Dave and I worked with them. And they told us that. Basically, those things are just the wrong tool for the job. Yet, we see people trotting them out there and doing it all the time. Like, it just shows people don't really know how to measure these things. It's a problem.
Yeah, I was saying the other day, Doc, that I had a fairly, large corporate client. If you looked at the search metrics data, these guys were tanking. It's like, I go to analytics, it's actually the opposite. They're going up. So what can happen with that kind of approach is that if I have 100 terms I'm ranking for, and I decide the bottom 50 aren't bringing enough traffic for us to give a shit about anymore, so I start focusing on the top 50, and those rankings go up.
Tanking, yeah.
Right. Search metrics thinks I'm tanking because I'm no longer ranking for this bottom 50, which weren't making us any money. So I've let those rankings slip. So according to them, I'm losing visibility, but not really, because I want these terms that actually bring traffic and make sales. So that's where that's where I'm leaning on it.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's a problem looking at that data for sure.
Like this morning, I'm in a meeting with a client, and he says, well, we have X amount of number ones, right? And at this period, we had almost double that many. So what did I do? I went to the analytics and looked. When we had 10, we had almost the exact same traffic as we did when we had twice as many. So what does that tell you? That measuring visibility is not that good for when traffic is what you really want. Visibility shows you your efforts in getting all of your keywords.
Or even conversions. If it's a primary, secondary conversion, et cetera, you could have a term that's bringing you shit tons of traffic, but if it's not making money or getting newsletter signups or followers or what the fuck ever your goal is, then that term is useless. I don't care how much traffic it brings if it's not doing the job.
Yeah. And that's it. For SEO, a lot of it is identifying that stuff, because 20% of your keywords bring in about 80% of the traffic and conversions. That's not a number.
I think even less than 20%.
Yeah, well, it's the old.
I would say almost 10% of your head terms, your big ones, bring in 90% of your traffic. Yeah.
But it works with our old stuff from old marketing, Dave, which is what? You get 80% of your customers from 20%, or 80% of your sales from 20% of your customers. The old
right. So yeah, the old 80-20 Pareto's principle. Focus on that 20% that's bringing you the 80, not the 80% that's bringing you the 20. So yeah, for sure, man.
And that's what you have to do. That's why, to me, the most important job when you're starting is prioritizing your keywords and understanding what's going on there. Like anything below it probably is not going to do very much, except for a client who, tracks number ones and all that stuff. Well, they're going to love it, but, it's not really going to make a difference.
Yeah. What is this person doing, Christian? What are we looking at?
Peter Hatherley. Remember, Peter had said he was working on a new tool. He's been getting it ready to launch. And apparently, this link that Christian dropped in there.
And what is this tool?
is this Intermark New Zealand. This order size is the tool that Peter has been developing. I didn't realize that was the one.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So David Amerlin had the launch HOA yesterday, and I got to come in and ask a question. Of course, like we've been waiting for Peter to come out with this for a while. He's been talking about how cool it is, and so yeah, he launched it yesterday, and I just wanted to see if you guys had taken a look at it and ask like what you guys thought about it.
I haven't,
Yeah.
but I will.
Yeah, I was going to say, most of us have these things we call work every day. So yeah, I just came out yesterday, but thinking I really haven't had the time to actually have a clue what the hell it is. So.
Well, you go into YouTube and then you do 2 times speed. That's
Some
how I
of
do
us are
everything.
massive social butterflies, like others of us.
Hey, I've got 6 kids too. I know what work is.
You're just obviously very good at multitasking.
What's the tool do?
Yeah, so since you are the knowledgeable one in the group, you give us the rundown.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I kind of want to hand it over to Doc because he knows your language. I can just explain it in my very basic language, which is like words. Cool. Go, Doc.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was getting distracted there. Now, what are you trying to get me to talk about?
Can you explain his tool?
The tool, I'm sorry, I can't. We talked about it only superficially, and he wasn't being terribly forthcoming because this was, it's been like over a month ago. So he was just kind of telling me that he's coming up with something that's going to be, I hate to use this word because you're going to tie it to somebody else, revolutionizing. But from what he's telling me, it's definitely worth looking at. I just haven't seen the tool yet. He was going to throw me a copy of it to possibly do a review on.
Oh, cool.
I have no idea, really.
So I'll just briefly explain like what I know of it. Then conceptual intelligence search engine, and it's a way of like tying. It kind of works with like the whole hashtag idea, but it ties concepts into semantic search rather than the way that it is now. Like everything is just.
So contextual search, basically.
Yes. Exactly. Thank you.
Which sounds very interesting. Definitely need to reach out and tap Peter and see if he still wants to do a review on that, because it sounds like it has a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
What job would you use it for, Doc?
Well, I'm thinking if for our copywriting, when we're doing research particularly for a new launch, when you're trying to determine what's out there in this niche and what are you going to be competing with, it would seem to be very valuable. But I think you could use it for looking to see how effective you're being as well,
Well, Peter's quite welcome to roll the dice and give us a demo account, because you never know which way that's going to go. Right, Terry?
Yeah.
Yeah, people stopped asking us to review their products, Terry. I wonder why that is.
Because we aren't impressed with a bunch of followers.
Yeah, we're not really good at pulling punches, are we? No.
Well, I believe.
Well, I don't think Peter has a lot.
No, I'm just joking. Like over the years, we just get a lot of people coming to us to review products and things they're doing. I think over the years I've just learned, especially because they're people you might know in the industry, I've learned if I have nothing good to say, I'll say nothing at all, which means I won't write about it.
But that's
If I like it, I'll write about it. If I don't, I'll just send you some emails privately and say.
So basically, I use 3 tools: Link Prospector, Screaming Frog, and Google Analytics. I wouldn't know why you would need anything else. Like,
Majestic?
just don't get it.
Majestic.
I was wondering about Majestic.
Yeah, and Majestic.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't use any programs because I just don't think they measure. They can't really tell me anything that I don't already know or haven't already picked up without paying dollars. And I don't know, I guess I pick up enough. Like, do you really need to know every time you're mentioned on the internet? I don't think so. Like, I don't
No,
think that really helps.
you just need to know the 5 important times.
Clout.
Right. But
In other words, it's hard to only monitor for the very important ones.
But they're the only ones that really matter, aren't they?
Well, I know, but you have to look at the 100 that happened to find the 5 that matter.
No, not really. I don't believe that. See?
Or you can teach the tool, train the tool to do better over time.
In my experience, if it really matters, I always find out about it because of either traffic coming to the website,
Bingo.
a mention somewhere about me, right? So, and of the social networks, Google Plus is the only one I think really matters. All the rest are where people go to get paid to waste other people's time.
And even before the rise of social, Bill, I'm the same as Terry. I mean, because we've been at this so long, we're not as fresh, but I'll find it. Meaning either somebody I know will say, hey, or I'll see it in the analytics because it's actually bringing traffic or creating sales or doing something useful. You know what I mean? Gary Vaynerchuk mentions something and nobody shows up at the site and buys something. Do I care that Gary Vaynerchuk said something? No, I don't. Sure, he's an influencer. He's this, that, and the next thing, but do I actually care? Is it actually doing anything other than stroking my ego? It's not.
So are you saying no one should care?
No, I think everyone should do anything, whatever the hell they please. You're all marketers. You all have your own clients, and you should do what the hell you want. But for me, yeah, it's the way I'm kind of old school like Terry. I'll notice it in my analytics, or I'll notice it in, or you'll see retweets with your tag in Twitter or whatever. My normal channels will tell me. You know what I mean? I go to Facebook, so and 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 so shared this. If I go to G Plus, if I go to Twitter, you can see activity around something to know that this is someone you want to go say thanks to or get to know better or whatever, because they've created buzz and activity around whatever the hell you're doing. If you're not noticing, do you really need a tool to tell you about some nobody that mentioned you that really isn't much value? And I don't want to be cold about that. But if you're getting 10,000 mentions, as we all know, you can't thank every person. You can say, hey, thanks for everyone who retweeted this. That's about it. You can't sit there.
I'm going.
And again, am I going to pay staff to sit around saying thank you to all these tweets? But again, it's not making me a penny.
Yeah. I'll take the alternative. I'll take a counterpoint position because I'm not talking about somebody who's worried about 10,000 mentions. I'm talking about somebody who gets mentioned 5 or 6 times in a month, and out of those 5 or 6 times, it turns out that 2 of them are potential relationships that they didn't pick up on, that they didn't find out about, and the person didn't post on Facebook. They mentioned them in a blog post. And in this situation, what would be great is for that client to go over to the blog and say, hey, thanks for the shout out. We're glad you like our service. And whatever. Now, when that reaches 1,000 of those a month, granted, now you've got a different business decision to make about.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, if you're starting out and you've got a new blog and like 2 people that were no names mentioned, sure, I believe what you're saying. Build every relationship you can, but at a certain point, time, which is money, outweighs the mentions that you're getting. You can't afford to be pouring money into a fucking down the sink by going out and trying to solidify relationships with 100 or 1,000 people, because you got to pay staff or do it yourself or somebody. And if that's not making me money, not to be cold anymore, but that's my job is to make clients money. If it's not remunerating for that investment in time and money, then I got to think twice.
Right. Well,
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Kristen, that's the fundamental. At a fundamental level, a business decision or a consideration that has to be made with every single thing that we talk about, and that is, how do you prioritize this? Because it could be more or less important in any given situation, whether we're talking about SEO or monitoring mentions or Facebook or whatever, right? That's the hard stuff, because anybody can give you the tool to monitor it. What we know is that most clients need help having some perspective on the activity itself. You could do this. Should you is a different question. That's much harder to answer.
Bill,
Knowing what
Terry,
flavor.
Terry, I gotta interrupt here, guys. Windows 8 yesterday said it had to restart for updates. I told it to do it later, and now it's telling me it's going to shut my computer down in 14 minutes regardless. There was no option to tell it to do it later. Am I fucked, or is that just a Windows 8 thing? Am I done? Like, is there any way to stop my computer from fucking restarting now?
I don't know. Let us know.
I've only had it do that when I was going to bed, and then I just let it do it. Go to bed.
I've
You
never
know,
seen
it
it
didn't
not
give me an
off.
option. Yeah, it offered me the option yesterday, and now it's not. So in 14 minutes, we're gonna find out, guys. Anyways,
Can
go
you
ahead.
go into your settings and change the time when it's set to do that?
I don't know.
If it's telling you if you've just done some major updates, then and it's saying it has to shut down to complete them, I think you're fucked.
Yeah, I didn't do anything. Like I said, it asked me yesterday, and yesterday I was busy working on something. I said, no, later. This time it did not give me the option.
I used to have that happen when I'd run AWR on a virtual machine on my machine. Well, the only time I run that is when I'm running AWR. So every time I start it halfway through, it starts that update and shuts down AWR. So
But David, here's a suggestion for you. I have all of my machines set up, to be notified of updates, and I choose the time that the updates are applied. So therefore,
Yeah, again, that's something for the future. That's not going to help me
yeah,
at the moment.
when you get back. I mean, the room will be here when you get back, I imagine.
Yeah, well, like I said, Terry's a manager, so he should keep the broadcast going.
I have heard that Windows 8 is doing some stuff under the table with
Got every other word coming in to here, Doc.
even if you have automatic updates off.
All right, so anyways, back to the whole when to talk to people, when to
I forgot to mention I do use AWR for one client to measure rankings.
Advanced web ranking, is that what you're talking about, Terry?
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing, though, I do agree with Bill to some extent. I think my tool list reflects the work that I mainly do to some extent. Because if I was doing more content and that kind of, like social, I just laugh at clients. Don't want to do it. You don't want me doing it, for sure.
Yeah, you have to know when to define your area of expertise.
Well, what we know is dangerous in our industry is generalization. That's as frustrating as it is to get an answer. It depends. The truth is the opposite. Generalization is probably.
I think that's what separates the
harmful.
rookies from the pros, is that this isn't a push-button thing. There's no big red fucking button. You literally have to approach every client differently. I've often said to people at the dojo and stuff that you could have two clients that you work with consecutively, maybe because you didn't have a non-compete clause, but that are in the exact same query spaces. But you still can't take this program and apply it over here cookie cutter, because these people have different writers on staff, different talent on staff. They have different budgets for different things. They have different CMSs in place. They have different this, that, and the next thing. You can't even apply the same approach to two companies in the same space, let alone companies in different markets of different sizes, etc. There is no cookie cutter, and I think people look for that big red button, Ace with a pushy. Make it work, marketing, yeah. And that's where people get fucked with tools. Tools.
I always
you have to have the strategy. You have to have a need and a question in place, and then go seek out the tool that will give you the data and the information you need. So many people come in the dojo, Bill, and you've seen it you've been around long enough. When new people come in, what's everyone's favorite recommendations for tools? It's like, like you're supposed to have some list that's going to make your marketing work for you. It doesn't work like that. The tool comes afterwards, depending on what you're trying to get accomplished. So.
Use the one between your ears. That's my usual answer.
There you go.
So what's another business, what's the right word? Doc, maybe you can help, but let's say discipline, where people already understand these dynamics, right? That you can't generalize this, right? Because they still often see the internet marketing stuff as very much like IT, which is very much plug this thing into the right thing over here and it works.
I think the only discipline that comes off the top of my head is neuropsychiatry.
There you go.
Because people don't understand the brain and there is no blueprint. So much else, like, you know, you can be a contractor. Well, there's building codes. There's ways to build a set of stairs. There's, you know how. When you're talking SEO, it's Google. They don't give us a blueprint to the black box, or we'd all abuse the shit out of it. So there's very few fields of work that are like ours in the sense that you really can't define what we're doing in a best practices type of approach because it doesn't exist. You know, there is, you know, IT, sure. You know, here's how PHP code's written. Here's how Microsoft SQL works. There are defined ways to understand those things. This is Google. There is nothing but a black box.
There's nothing but
correlation.
Yeah,
yeah. So maybe neuropsychology because nobody understands the fucking brain yet. So that's about it. I don't think there's too many people that are in our position.
Nutrition.
No, it's very easy for two people to get the same ranking doing totally opposite things. And that's...
Go ahead, Kristen. Go ahead, Kristen. We saw you.
You're new to nutrition is another one.
You're new to breaking into this conversation. You just got to be a bulldozer, which I can totally tell you. Totally your style.
If you wait, you might wait all day.
Yeah. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying nutrition is another one. Nutrition, neuroscience, yeah.
No, I think, yeah, nutrition's good. We'll often use the fitness analogy as well to say there are basic principles that are probably applicable in your situation, right? But the first thing to understand is that you've got to have a program that's put together for you based on your physiology, your biology, your, right, how everything works. So would it be better for you to be more active than less active? Probably. But that's only going to get you so far, right? I don't know if you need to do 27 push-ups every other day or every third day, or maybe you shouldn't do them at all, but they are a good thing for many people to do, right? And it's usually better to eat healthier than not, but what does that mean for you?
Right, and it's a changing system because depending on how much sleep you got the night before or what kind of stressors are in your life, it's always changing, right?
Yeah. Well, the other thing that we tell people too is, look, unless you're trying to win an award for a website, right? An awesome website design doesn't necessarily help. What you need is a website that is good enough, which is a tough spot to stay in.
Well, I think it's also I wouldn't put that in the back burner heavily though, because there is a sense of trust with a half decently well put together site. You know what I mean? There is study after study that shows people buy more from sites that look professional and that they trust.
Yeah, but even that, right? Even that though is a fuzzy. That's a fuzzy target. It's dynamic, right? And so you're always trying to find the spot where you're doing just enough to get the results, because it's not a zero-sum game. You don't. It's like optimization in that sense of there's a threshold that you need to cross. You know, if your whole website is in an iframe, you've probably got a problem. Otherwise, it's an ongoing effort.
Hello.
Blizzard in Canada, apparently.
Door.
I used an analogy, or not so much an analogy, but if you know the what's the country comedian Ron Can't Fix Stupid, right?
Ron White.
Ron White. So Ron White has a bit where he talks about getting thrown out of a bar, and he said, I don't know how many it was going to take to do it, but I knew how many they were going to use. And that's sometimes, you know, when people talk about how much is this going to cost and how long is it going to take, I don't know yet. I could tell you what we're going to do to find out. We could call it off at any point.
Well, it's like people asking for guarantees. You know, and I was joking the other day with some people. I said, I can guarantee you over the next 12 months that we work together that Google's going to change the fucking game a few times. And we're going to have to adapt and be nimble on our feet, because that's the only guarantee. And that's why you can't give guarantees, because we don't control Google and it's not a static beast. So.
Yeah, will you guarantee me that you will do better content than your competitor?
I'll guarantee I'll cash the check.
Like how much of it is based on experience, right? Once you've been in the industry for a certain amount of time, I would assume, I mean, you guys, I trust what you say because you've been in this for a while now. So I would take your guarantee over someone else's.
Yeah,
That's only been in it for a short
but
while.
because we have that experience, there are no guarantees. That's the
Right.
one thing we do know. You know, like you look at that 1 year, Terry. What was it? We had caffeine, we had Panda, we had a handful of stuff. And this is why I joke about all the assholes that come out with their, you know, oh look, it's December. Here's my predictions for 20. Oh, shut the fuck up. Because they're never right. Nobody sees this shit coming, you know. Who saw Hummingbird? Nobody. Who saw Panda? Nobody. Who saw Penguin? Nobody.
Not even
You know,
Bill.
nobody sees shit
I
coming.
mean, Bill Slofsky, not Bill B.
No,
Yeah, I think Barry saw it.
He's not. Bill's not stupid enough to
Break
predict
out
it.
for 5 years running. For 5 years, I heard every year at the beginning of the year, this is the year of mobile. Well,
Yeah.
eventually some of them were right.
It's
Yeah.
coming, Terry. It's coming.
That started like what 2006 maybe, Terry, and it was like he's not kidding. Every year, everyone says the year of mobile year, and it took till maybe 2011 or 12 till that actually started to really make a difference. So yeah, for 5-6 years, people kept using, and as long as you say that every December, eventually you'll be right. Yeah. Well, Terry and I were fairly convinced at some point last year we'd see another infrastructure change. I think this year we're gonna. You know,
Well, I think we
will it
saw-
happen? I don't know, but
Hey,
I
I've
think
got
it
I've got
happened. It was called Hummingbird. That's what I think happened.
yeah, Hummingbird would certainly seem to be one. Yeah.
This is a free-for-all, right?
Marketing related.
Okay, well, I
Let's
have
not go
I
too
have a
crazy.
conspiracy theory that is marketing related. I think that they're pushing mobile technology and smartphones the same way they did cigarettes in the 60s, and they're getting us all hooked. And then what? Never mind. Okay, it's just an epiphany I had a couple days ago. I'll leave you.
Was it the drugs in
Oh,
the
that's
60s?
actually really good because, like, what does that do? Like, you have to have a company that you're, you know, hooked up with, like Verizon or something, and what is that going to do? Because we all know, like, who's on which side of the internet, save the internet game, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I just observed that they're giving, they're doing more and more to push people to smartphones. They're saying, "Oh, you can do this. Oh, you get better sale prices. You get this. You get the next thing." It's just like, it's an addiction. They're pushing an addiction.
No, I think people are addicted to the smartphones. I don't think they have to be pushed. I think they're just like the carrot and the fucking stick.
Watch
They're
watch the advertisements on TV, Terry. You'll understand what I mean by
We don't
pushing
get
it.
those up here. We don't have 5 different companies all vying
Yeah,
for our
you only
business.
get one thing in Canada, the Leafs.
Lucky you get 2. That's if you're
Oh,
real.
I see. Okay.
So,
If
we don't see that up here.
If it's not during a Leafs game, Terry won't see it.
That too.
Yeah. It's just an observation. It was a Margism, a random thought that popped through my mind. I said, "Aha! This is what they did with cigarettes."
Yeah, but mobile is getting so big. Now the big thing that you hear them talking about on, I watch CNBC, it's a business channel, right? They're all talking about this Internet of Things like it's already here. Like, but it's coming, but it's nowhere near what it's going to be.
I don't know that I've heard this term, Terry. What's the Internet of Things?
Oh, that's where you're, for instance, my brother's thermostat tells him how cold it is outside. And it does that because it's got a Wi-Fi connection.
Oh, I see. Okay, so the refrigerator will tell me when I'm out of blueberries.
Yeah, that's called the Internet
Okay.
of Things, where
I see. Okay.
and they're starting to get the technology so those things can talk. So pretty
Yep.
soon you won't order food, your fridge will order it for you, and you'll either pick it up or it'll be delivered to you. That's kind of where we think we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Dave went down.
Yeah, his 14 minutes ran out.
Yeah,
What's that link, Kristen? What did you search for?
Sorry, it was really long. Yeah.
Oh, I see. No, that's okay. Internet of Things. I mean, that's interesting. I know that you know, appliances are getting smarter. These people I know who are into fitness, they all bought a Fitbit thing. Oh, look! It even told me how good I slept. What, you really can't tell that? You know, I mean, come on.
Do you feel better or worse?
What Apple? Their wearables, that's what it's all about, measuring that kind of stuff. So you can wake up and know, oh, I slept well. That, you know, or when you're walking, it'll tell you how much you've walked each day. It's basically a way to monitor your own health to make sure that you're living.
Count your paces and stuff, you know, but I'm not going to become part of the collective, you know. I'll just go for a walk and I'll come back and I'll feel better.
Okay, we're 60. Millennials and younger people eat the fucking stuff up because that's all they know. Just like Dave's son and daughter will go to YouTube to search before they'll go to Google because that's what they know. That's what makes it tough for older people in this game. We don't really understand those younger people that we're trying to market to. You got to really talk to them and get to know them. Like I was impressed by Deborah's article on, you know, talking about her experience compared to a millennials. Well, they saw some things the same, but you could really see the difference between the way they approach things. Like millennials basically think everything should be free, that you don't pay for anything. You know, it's going to get tough when they're the main market. Like they don't buy. I saw it this morning. They don't buy cable TV. Like they're not hooked up. They do all their stuff streaming on the internet. Mm-hmm. They don't see the point in owning and watching broadcast stations.
Well, and Netflix is cheaper than cable.
Well, there's that. That's a thing. But I don't watch that many movies on TV. Just don't.
You can watch series on Netflix too. I mean, if you want to go see every episode ever put out on House, it's on there right now. You know, 2.5 Men or Big Bang Theory. You know, they've got the hundreds and hundreds of episodes there. You can go back to May of 2011 and watch that one. You know.
Yeah, but all the governments are, you know, they basically clued into that too. Like now, the regulatory bodies are saying to them, "Hey, you can't bundle all this shit anymore." People can pick and choose what they want. You can't tell them what's in a package. They're going to make their own because, you know what? I've got about, I pay for every channel except for the movies, right? I only watch maybe 4 or 5 of them. Like, I have shows that I watch every week. I don't explore that stuff. I come across shows I like, and, you know, most of them are reality shows.
I got 101 channels. I watch 2 of them for about a half an hour each night. My wife watches a couple of them most of the day, and the other 99 sit there and rot.
You know, maybe my conspiracy theory is ageist. You know, maybe it's coming from my age point of view, but you know, history is also, I mean, you know, we should look to history to find out what's going on. And I know what they did when they got the country hooked on cigarettes, you know, maybe the world. And now I see them putting the same hooks in on smartphones. You can take pictures, you can make movies, you can go on video chats. Well, they do finally have the, you know, video telephone now. That's great. You know, I mean, they predicted that when I was 8 years old. You know, but it's just, you don't need a smartphone to live your friggin' life. You know,
it all comes down to you're going to be cooler if you have this, right?
It comes down to what? I'm sorry?
Like, you're going to be cooler if you have this.
Exactly. It's, you know, keeping up with the Joneses.
Well, not, okay, with kids, it's sharing stuff on Instagram.
Yes, they do that too, and they have another one now because Instagram got too popular.
Snapchat?
Like, here's the thing, those people, right? The difference mainly between us and them, we value privacy. They know they have none. So they
don't understand the risks of not keeping some things private.
They understand the risks. They just don't give a shit. They don't think that it really matters. And they're probably right, because I don't think if someone wants your shit, they're going to get it. That's the way
Well,
I
you know, that's
If
true.
you don't want your privacy to be invaded, turn your fucking machine off and go away, because that's the only way you
Well,
make
I get that too, Terry. You know, and I always say, you know, the only way to have complete privacy is never get on the internet. I get that.
Yeah.
But you know, the whole smartphone, got to have it with me, got to take a picture of what I'm eating today. I mean, so what? You know, it's just like I mean,
That's
there's there's a show that I watch, Criminal Minds, and you know, in one episode, one of the guys was saying, you know, they were looking for a Facebook stalker, and he says, "Oh, I had good pie today." He's reading the feed, and he goes, "We," you know, and that's just how I feel. It's just like, so what? Years ago, I read something.
Yeah, but see, I was actually watching. Why am I stupid? And by the way, when you do reboot it, it keeps the broadcast.
Okay.
I think it's because Terry's a manager, so I'm pretty sure why we didn't lose it. But and straight up, Wissam had a great idea, Terry, in the comments. I wasn't watching. He said I should have just set my clock back a couple hours. I bet you that would have worked.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I was still listening along with the other computer here that I have beside me.
Cool.
You know, maybe
And
we don't.
But going back to Terry's point about my kids and stuff who actually use YouTube for everything. You know, I mean, they want to know how to make a grilled cheese sandwich. They don't go to Google. They type it into fucking YouTube because they've got it open. And believe it or not, there'll be a fucking video on how to make a grilled cheese sandwich.
There will be. I know.
But so back to what you're saying there, Marge, is that yeah, maybe we're older, we think that way, but I have to think ahead and embrace what's going on. Yeah, people post inane crap all over social media all the time, but as a marketer and as a parent, I need to understand what it is, not just go, well, that's fucked up, and why do they, you know, I don't care why they do it or how fucked up it is. It's just the way the world works now. It's just how the world works.
I'm not saying I don't try to understand it. I'm just saying that I concluded something the other day about smartphones. You know, I mean, from my point of view, I don't need a smartphone, you know, because they come complete with a data plan, and honestly, I don't ever leave the house that much, but I would need it. I wouldn't want to work on the internet.
Like even on the cable thing that someone mentioned while I was rebooting, I haven't had cable for 6 years, and at $100, you know, what is it, $100 a month now? You know what I mean? I've saved, you know, what, $6,000-$7,000 because you know I can go to Discovery Channel, I can go to Hulu, even though I'm in Canada.
Yeah, I understand.
I can go to all these, you know, A&E, Discovery. I can find all that content out there, and I've got a hard drive hooked up to my big bloody TV with a little box that hooks the two of them up. And
Raspberry Pi.
I sit there with a mouse and I navigate TV and watch it just fine.
You can probably go to Google
There's
Plus
no
and
need
find
for it.
someone who's shared a post on it.
Or search it on YouTube.
It's all fine. You know, it's just an observation. You know, and I'm not saying that. I did introduce it
But really,
as
it is a
conspiracy theory.
tax. It is a tax write-off.
What?
You know, you get I don't personally run around. I don't personally have a smartphone or anything because I just, you know, when I'm not in the house, it's for a reason. So leave me alone. But my daughter has one. My wife has one, and you know, you can write those. I can write those fully off. So can you. You're a WordPress person. Well, you need to be able to have a smartphone so you can see what your client's WordPress looks like in the mobile version. Tax write-off, done. You're not paying a penny. You know what I mean? And you almost need to know that, Marge. You know, I know. Again, I'm not a guy who, as a person, wants to have a smartphone, so thus I don't. But I have access to two of them in the house, so that if I want to check a client's site or if I want to look at things in that.
Yeah, and I can give you a $19. I can give you a $19 a month solution that'll emulate any single mobile device you want to.
Yeah.
You know,
Again, I think just using it though helps you understand the culture of surfing the internet with something this big as opposed to this, regardless of the emulation. It's a tactile difference. How they search things on your site are going to be like old school. Okay, meaning with Google, searchers got more sophisticated over the years, right? They learned to use longer queries. Like I would bring, you know, he's 22 now, my stepson. I used to have, when he was 17 years old, I'd be like, dude, here's a search task, meaning go find this, here's a computer, and I would sit there and watch him and see how he went about it. And I was like, why do you type in such long queries? Well, Google sucks. If you're not specific with Google, you're not going to find it, and you're just going to end up doing this anyways. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And this is, I try to learn by watching people. So almost the inverse of that becomes true with a cell phone, because you don't want to sit there key typing in a very long query. So again, the mobile people are probably looking for shorter queries to find what they're looking for, as opposed to the desktop, where someone's going to use a longer query because they've got the keyboard right here. So the two approaches to even finding things in the internet is different. So having that cell phone and not just emulating it somewhere, having that and understanding how people interact with it and how they work, I think is important. I think you need to know
in
that.
your
That's why stuff like buttons and stuff came from, because now I don't have to sit there and go to Facebook and type out the whole URL, this and that. No, I just click a button and it shares it with all my friends, because that's the way it's easiest on a smartphone.
In your
That
business, you do SEO. I do development.
no, we also do web development, man. We've been doing that longer than I've been doing SEO. I started building websites in '98, and my wife still does it. No, we still look at things that way. Like someone comes to your website, the importance of the navigation of your mobile device,
Yep.
Your mobile version of your website, is far more important, because people don't want to be going to the search box on your site like they would. I go to find a product on a site on a desktop. I go to the search bar. I type it in away. Well, be honest, I just do a site search with Google. But anyways.
Well, if you were really going to do it right, you'd have to have every single mobile device out there.
Well, no, what you learn quickly is that you don't want the mobile version of your website's not nearly as important as having an app for your website. Build a fucking app for your website, and that's how you market to people and have them shop.
Well, okay, but I don't do mobile apps. There's other people who know how to do that. I don't do mobile apps, and I think an app is applicable maybe for a recipe site. Something that has a service, a tangible service that you can look up.
No, but again, by having that tactile device in your hand and navigating the internet that way, you learn these things. So that an app's actually better, because you can push promotional products better. You can push things differently than you would on your site per se. And the navigation of an app is so much easier. Big brown buttons, click this and that, find what you want. Trying to navigate a website, mobile version or not, is not nearly as easy as getting an app developed for your site and pushing that.
And it puts it right into your search bar of your device.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't doubt any of that. We went off on a different tangent here. I introduced my concept as a conspiracy theory. We'll just let it be that.
Oh yeah, no, I don't mind. Like I said, it's a free for all. That's why we roll like we roll everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you need to have an experience like that. Like it's like even my kids use the Xbox a lot over the years and whatever. It's what kids do. But now that these things become so internet savvy, you know what I mean? It's the control. My daughter was sitting in her room one day. We're on the Xbox downstairs watching some shit, and the game stopped. YouTube popped up, and a video started playing. And all of a sudden you hear from upstairs my daughter go, "Sorry, wrong button," because it's in range of the Wi-Fi of this Xbox, which is running the living room. When she booted up YouTube, it said, "Would you like to use this, that," and she pushed the wrong button and ended up controlling my fucking son's Xbox down in the living room and playing a video. Like, that's how attached everything is. You can run an Xbox, which is an entertainment system, DVDs, you can surf the internet, you can do all kinds of things. Like with an Xbox, you just go bing, blah, blah, blah. And you could be in the middle of a game, and what Xbox One does now is your game shuffles over here, Bing will pop up here, and show you results in the search engine without even stopping your game. Like, you'd be like, tips and tricks for this. Boom, pops up at the side. And that's something even the internet, like a browser, doesn't do at this point. Like, you can't just talk to it and have things like that happen. It's incredible. And again, and anybody in the house can control that with their smartphone, and it recognizes it. It's not like you have to configure it. Configure my phone to run my TV device. No. It identifies it and says, "We've detected these cell phones. Would you like to hook any of them up?" "Oh, yes, please." And she can sit there in her room with her Xbox and put YouTube videos on with her phone. She's watching something on YouTube. She has the option to make it go boop instantly, push a button onto her TV and play that video. And Netflix, and yeah, it's like when she's on Netflix, if she sees something she likes on her phone, she just pushes a button and it pops up on the television. It's all so interconnected. It's amazing, and it makes you think of different opportunities you normally wouldn't have unless you lived within the technology.
Well, I don't need to worry about Scooter doing that to me. He doesn't get on the internet you know, I mean, family needs are different. Everything is different. I know that some of my thinking sounds like a Luddite, you know, but I do observe history and I do observe marketing, you know, via commercials on TV, and I kind of have a sense for something that may or may not be accurate.
Like Terry, talk about tinfoil. The Xbox One, the latest iteration of the Xbox, and Microsoft's dominance over the living room as far as Google's concerned, um, is it's what they call always on, Terry, meaning it could literally be watching and listening to you all the time. Because it looks like it's off and everything else. You just go Xbox on, whoop, turns on. You know, Tanya was just saying that she was sitting there last night and she was looking at some shows on Netflix and she was like, well, why am I even looking here? Pushes the button and the show she wanted to watch instantly comes up on the television right beside her. Boom, and away it goes because of the Xbox and everything else, the way it's integrated with Netflix. You know, there is so much going on, man. It's neat stuff. I'm fascinated. You know, it is,
Yep.
The world's going in a new place. And I think that's Google's biggest problem is they're still losing the battle for the living room. You know?
Well, I thought Google Glass was a bad idea too, but
No. I
They
wouldn't.
shelved that, eh?
what, Terry?
They shelved
That's gone. Gone.
down.
Gone. Done. Shut down.
So,
Yeah, I know.
the guys who are working on it moved to Nest, which is the Internet of Things that Google owns.
Yeah, I think that, again, the whole connectivity of understanding where this is all going. And at the end of the day, really, the reason I spend so much time of my life knee-deep in shit like Hummingbird or natural search is because people are going to stop, you know, typing. Again, look at the Xbox, Bing, you know, Google patents, you know, up comes Bing and shows me the results. Cell phones will be the same way. You're not going to type anymore. You're just going to talk to it. That's what natural language search is important to me. You know, and that's why Hummingbird. I think Hummingbird is the groundwork for that in the sense that it's trying to understand natural processing, right? To rent an apartment, to let an apartment, same thing, right, Terry? Right?
Yeah.
You let an apartment. It's the same as saying rent an apartment. And so Google's trying to figure out what semantic relevance there is between actual words. That's why it's not keywords anymore per se. You don't target a fucking keyword. You have to target a concept. Because eventually, as we get there over the next 4 or 5 years, this is where we end up. That it's going to be voices. You know, you go watch Star Trek for a while. You know, and watch them talking to the computer, and it's responding and finding them stuff. You know, science fiction's often been very good at predicting the future. You know, and I think that that's where we're headed at some point in my career before I'm retired. So.
Science
There you go.
fiction is predictive. I read a book that was written in the early 70s, Shockwave Rider. It talked about ATM networks and electronic money long before those things were available.
Well, I remember watching a documentary.
Viruses, you know, I mean, it does predict. Jules
I
Verne.
remember watching, but it's because the geeks that watch and listen to that science fiction are the ones that grow up to be the technology types. Again, I remember watching a documentary and the guy invented the cell phone, and he was literally in the office before they had ever invented one. He said, you know, on Star Trek, when they flip that thing open and talk to people, we need something like that. And of course, the first cell phones were like half the size of your fucking head, but eventually we did get to that point where they were like flip open. But he literally sat in the meeting and said, on Star Trek, we want something like that. And I think that's how that pans out, and that's where the correlation to science fiction and predictive comes from, is that so many of these geeks that do end up becoming engineers watch this stuff, right? So
Of
they
course.
say, well, it'd be cool if I had one of those.
And in fact, maybe some of them are actually creating it while they're writing the fiction. I know there's a lot of, you know, real live technology, you know, geeks that are writing fiction, you know, to free their minds. They're on the inside. They know what's going on.
Well, people are really smart that they would do like all of the science fiction reading and then get their ideas from there if they're really wanting to be progressive, right?
Well, that's it. Yeah, you want to invent something that's going to sell, you know, just go look for popular science fiction TV shows and movies. I'm sure you'll find something.
What's a 3D printer? It's basically a replicator.
But
Oh, those
yeah,
are pretty cool. Those are.
You know,
those are
I remember laughing in 2006, March, because Microsoft had this patent out about cameras like these that would read your body temperature and your heart rate and this and that. And when I wrote the post, I put a little picture from Space 2001, and I had Dave, I sense you're not happy with the search result. Because that's what it was about, was trying to understand the person by all this. And I laughed at it, and I made all kinds of jokes in the post I wrote at the time. But sure enough, now the Kinect that's on the Xbox One, which is the camera and everything else, reads your body temperature and everything else. You know what I mean? They already have gotten there to not your heart rate or anything yet, but just through a camera reading, heat mapping and body temperature. Man, it's crazy.
Yeah, I listened to an interview about the motion sensing of the Xboxes and those things. I mean, it was kind of fascinating to think that something is watching you in your living room. We're used to watching it.
Yeah, and it follows you too. It's like creepy. It's like.
Yeah, that would
It's
creep
like,
me out big time.
yeah. I'm like, come on, it's a little weird.
Yeah.
We're gonna just say the wife and I don't have sex in the living room anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you can't go over there. Remember 1984, the book, the movie?
Yeah, oh, yes. Well, the movie or the actual
Well,
Orwellian?
both. I mean,
Orwell.
I read the book long before I saw
I think
the
that the movie was actually Jim Belushi, one of the Belushis and a bunch of war crazy shit. I don't think the movie was actually anything to do with the book, was it?
Not the 1984 movie I saw. It had John Hurt in it, I think.
Right.
That had nothing to do with the book.
Yeah.
No. If anything had to do with the book, I think, what was that old show way back, guys? You guys must remember. I am not a number. I am a free man. What is that?
Elephant Man.
No, it was a TV show. I think it was British, actually.
Oh, yeah, I know the
And it
one.
was on that
Prisoner.
island.
The Prisoner. You're thinking of the Prisoner.
That's it. That's the one. Yeah, that's kind of Orwellian to me, right? Because everyone's a number and everything else, and that had a lot to do with the Orwell stuff.
I don't know. I love technology. I have a love-hate relationship with technology. I'm an
I'm
avid
still
science
fascinated.
fiction fan.
I'm always fascinated. So, I think that's what got me into patent reading and everything else, because I like to read about what guys are trying to do down the road and where they're headed, and I just get fascinated about what we can accomplish these days. Like, it's just mind-boggling to me. I remember programming BASIC in high school and stuff.
Yeah, I did assembly too.
These days, it's just wow.
Yeah, speaking of geek, but I don't know. I've always loved technology. I try to keep up. If I need to go look at how somebody does something on a mobile phone, I've got grandkids. I can go look at theirs.
Yeah, I hear you. But it's not even the same as actually incorporating into life. You know what I mean? Again, looking at it is one thing. To understand how ingrained it's become for a lot of people. I always joke. I go down to the bar. I was sitting at the local pub last summer, and there's 5 of us out at the patio, and all 4 of the other people were face down like this. And I was like, man, we used to go to the bar to meet people and talk and socialize. Apparently not anymore. It's just about drinking and sitting on your phone.
Yeah, I mean, 4 people go out to dinner, and they're all talking on their phones while they're sitting with their food in front of them. It's
drunk texting? There you go. Instead of drunk dialing, we have drunk texting now.
This is another television commercial, but there's a commercial where a father has taken his daughter out into nature, and she's taking pictures of it on her smartphone, and he puts the phone down gently and says, the best way to enjoy it is to be there. I mean, if you're looking at the world through your technology all the time, what do you really see? But anyhow, that's just me. I'm old. I'm a Luddite.
Yeah. I know.
And no, I still don't think I need a mobile phone, but,
Again, I don't get wrapped up in it, but I just sort of still watch it all from the outside as a geek, being fascinated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, I'm just like, wow, really? Like, my kids all laugh at me, you know what I mean? The old joke of I couldn't program a VCR kind of guy, So,
yeah.
When anything technology goes wrong or whatever, like these things, I just ask someone else in the house to figure it out. Not my department.
Yeah, I mean, if my clients want an actual app for their website, then I refer them to people who know how to write apps. Because that's a whole different game. You spoke earlier about generalists. I can't be a generalist and be excellent at what I do. You know, I mean, I can gather up knowledge, I can know about a lot of things, but you know, a long time ago when I was interested in other things like graphics and Flash, I thought, you know, I can't do all of this well. You know,
Flash, wasn't that a good use of your time?
yeah, I mean, no, it wasn't just that. Flash was interesting to me, you know, making movies, Flash
Yeah,
movies.
okay, yeah, I know, but interesting and useful are two different things. And again, I went down that road at the time. I started learning Flash, but I also, Terry, and you'll enjoy this one. I also back in 98, 99 thought that Java was going to be the next big thing, and I spent a shitload of time learning that. Boy, that paid off. It was like, oh.
Yeah, Java.
Hey, Ted, remember me and applets and everything else? I thought they were going to be the cat's ass, man. You should have heard me talk back in '99.
Well, I've
Java
invested
was
the
the
last
next big
6 years in learning WordPress well, you know, so that I know which functions to look for to fix whatever the problem is. That's what I've done. You know, I can't really say it's a life accomplishment, but it's something.
Oh God. Well,
Everybody's leaving us, and we're still alive.
2:30. Well, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to stick to. All right. Oh, okay. All right. Green room's still here. We're getting the fuck up. Yeah. But like I said to Terry, man, it's just so quiet out there this week. I don't know what's going on. I haven't a clue.
David, are you going to change your Windows Update settings now before you forget?
No, but as soon as I get off, I will. All right, for those of you listening, watching, we're going off the air, but you can still come and hang out.